I always thought I knew my husband. I really did. For years, I trusted him completely, believed in every word he said, and never questioned his actions. I used to smile when people would jokingly call me naive or too trusting. I didn't care. I was happy. Or at least I thought I was. My name is Emily, and this is the story of how the man I loved more than anything almost destroyed me, and how I found the truth that left him shattered. It all started on a Sunday morning, a simple, lazy day that I'll never forget. I was in the kitchen making pancakes, humming to myself while the sun streamed through the window. Mark, my husband of 7 years, was sitting at the table scrolling on his phone. I noticed him smile at something, just a little too much. "Who's that?" I asked casually, leaning on the counter. Mark looked up, startled, as if he wasn't expecting me to ask. "Who's what?" he said, a little too quickly. "The girl you were just texting. She seems familiar." He laughed, a little too loudly, and waved it off. "Oh, Emily, you're imagining things. Just some coworker joking around." I smiled, but a small knot of unease formed in my stomach. I shouldn't have doubted him. I didn't want to doubt him. But something about that smile, the way he quickly hit his phone, made me pause. Days passed, and the little moments started piling up. The phone he always left on the kitchen counter now seemed to be glued to his hand. He started coming home later than usual, citing extra work or meetings. And the little jokes he used to make me laugh at, they were gone. Everything felt off. One evening, I was alone at home, scrolling through photos on my phone, when a memory hit me, something that didn't make sense. A month ago, I had noticed a lipstick stain on his shirt. I asked him about it, and he told me I was imagining things. I laughed it off then, but now, thinking back, I felt a sting of regret for not pushing harder. I decided to confront my feelings, not Mark. I needed proof before I accused him of anything, because I knew what he would do. He would call me crazy. He would say I was overthinking. That's exactly what he always said whenever I questioned him, and I hated that it worked. So, I began to watch quietly. I didn't touch his phone. I didn't want him to know I was suspicious. But I started noticing patterns. Late nights when he worked from home, texts that made him laugh in ways he never laughed at me, the way he would rush to hide his screen when I walked past. I kept telling myself, "Emily, don't jump to conclusions. You love him. He loves you." But love has a strange way of whispering warnings, and mine was getting louder every day. The breaking point came one Friday night. Mark had gone out to meet a client, which was normal, but I had a feeling. Something inside me told me he wasn't coming back to just talk business. I tried to shake it off, but curiosity gnawed at me until I couldn't take it anymore. I followed him. It was terrifying, watching him from a distance. My hands shook, my heart raced, and every step I took toward the truth felt like walking on a tightrope. I told myself I wasn't spying. I was protecting myself. I needed to know. He drove through the city, turning streets I didn't recognize, until finally, he parked in front of a small cafe tucked between two shops. My heart sank as I saw her. She was beautiful, confident, laughing as she leaned into him. My Mark, my husband. And there, in the middle of a quiet street, he kissed her. Not a quick peck, not a friendly gesture. He kissed her like he had never kissed me. I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. Everything I thought I knew, every memory, every word he had ever said, felt like a lie. I wanted to scream, to run, to confront him right there. But I didn't. I had no proof yet, nothing tangible. And if I confronted him now, he would spin it. He would make me feel insane. That's what he always did. So I watched. I memorized the cafe, the way she touched his arm, the way he laughed with her. And then I went home, shaking, pretending to be asleep when he walked through the door hours later, smelling like her perfume, smiling like nothing had happened. "Everything okay?" he asked casually. I nodded. "Just tired," I said, my voice steady even though my mind was screaming. That night, as I lay in bed pretending to sleep, I made a decision. I wasn't going to accuse him without proof. I wasn't going to let him call me crazy. I would get the evidence I needed, and when I did, you would wish he had never crossed me. The next morning, I started my plan. I needed a way to catch him without him suspecting a thing. I needed to be invisible. I needed to be smart. And so, I became someone I had never imagined I could be. The careful observer, the patient one, the one who watches while the liar slips, thinking no one is paying attention. Little did Mark know. The very man who thought he could deceive me without consequence was about to meet the woman he had underestimated. I would get proof. And when I did, his world would crumble. But what I didn't expect was how much this path would change me, how many lies I would uncover, and how dangerous it could get. Some truths, I realized, are more powerful than you can ever imagine, and some betrayals more devastating than you could survive. That Sunday morning had started like any other, but by the end of it, I had a choice: pretend I didn't see, or dig deeper into a darkness I had never imagined existed. I chose the darkness, and that choice would change everything. Yay. Cliffhanger. I had my plan, my patience, and my resolve, but I had no idea just how deep his betrayal really went. And the next discovery would leave me completely stunned. The next few days were a blur of careful observation. I became a shadow in my own home. Every detail mattered. The way Mark answered the phone, the quick glances at his text notifications, the faint perfume he sometimes wore that wasn't his usual cologne. I kept notes in my head, cataloging everything, telling myself, patience, Emily. Proof first, revenge later. It wasn't easy. Every time he smiled at me, I had to fight the urge to scream. How dare you smile at me after what I saw? But I forced myself to remain calm, composed, the loving wife everyone thought I was. Friday came, and Mark announced he had to work late again. Important client meeting, he said, with that same casual confidence he always had. But I noticed the hesitance in his eyes when he said it. Hesitance that wasn't there before. I didn't follow him this time. Instead, I stayed home, waiting for the perfect moment. That night, I made my move. While he was in the shower, I quietly opened his laptop, something I'd avoided until now. I knew it was risky, and part of me felt guilty. But the other part, the part that had been simmering with suspicion, knew this was necessary. I typed in his password, one he always left in his little notebook on the nightstand, and froze as the desktop appeared. There it was, an inbox full of messages, photos, and confirmations. And every single one pointed to her. I clicked on a message, my hands shaking. Can't wait to see you tonight. From her. My stomach dropped. My hands felt cold. I scrolled further, and it got worse. There were reservations at hotels, secret lunch meetings, and flirty messages that made my chest tighten. He had been living a double life right under my nose. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the laptop across the room and demand he explain himself. But I didn't. I knew if I acted now, he would twist it. He would gaslight me and make me feel insane, just like he always did. So I did the only thing I could do. I collected every piece of evidence, saving screenshots, printing emails, and even downloading photos of them together. Every detail mattered. Every single message, every little lie, every stolen moment. He would pay for all of it. The next day, I confronted him. Not with anger, not with accusations. Just a simple question. Mark, have you been seeing someone else? He looked at me, eyes wide, like he was shocked I would even ask such a thing. And then he laughed. Emily, what are you talking about? You've been imagining things again, haven't you? My heart pounded, but I kept my voice steady. No, I'm not imagining things. I know. I just want to hear you admit it. He shook his head, smiling like a master manipulator. Admit what? That I love you? You're crazy. You're overthinking. You're letting your mind play tricks on you. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the evidence at him, but I didn't. I let him continue. I let him feel confident, because he was about to learn the hard way that confidence can be the deadliest mistake. Over the next week, I followed him subtly again. I watched as he made excuses, lied about meetings, and texted her constantly. But now, I had a plan that went beyond just catching him in the act. I wanted him to feel the full weight of his betrayal. One evening, he came home late, smelling like her perfume again. I was waiting in the living room, calm, composed. Long day? I asked, pouring him a glass of wine. He nodded, sitting down across from me. Yeah, really exhausting. I smiled sweetly. I thought you were meeting a client. He shrugged. Yes, and it took longer than expected. I set my glass down. You know, Mark, trust is fragile. He looked at me confused. What do you mean? I said softly. Once it's broken, sometimes it can never be repaired. His smile faltered. Emily, what are you trying to say? I leaned in closer, keeping my tone calm but firm. I know everything. I know about her, the texts, the meetings. All of it. His face paled. He opened his mouth, then closed it. You what? I said I know. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small stack of printed screenshots. I laid them on the table. Every message, every lie, every stolen moment. I saved it all. You can try to deny it, but this is the truth. For the first time, I saw fear in his eyes, not just guilt. Fear. You're crazy, he whispered, voice trembling. I shook my head. I'm not crazy. I'm careful. And now, you're about to realize that lying to me was your biggest mistake. He tried to reach for the papers, but I pulled them back. Don't. This isn't about yelling or fighting. It's about reality. You betrayed me. You thought I wouldn't notice, thought I'd let you get away with it. But now, I have control. Mark's breathing quickened. He stared at me, trying to find the right words, trying to find a way out. But there was none. Not anymore. You're going to regret this. He hissed finally, trying to regain some semblance of dominance. I smiled. Oh, I don't think so. You were careless, Mark. You underestimated me. And that's something you'll pay for. For the first time in years, I saw him vulnerable, broken. Not because of what I said, but because he knew I held the power now, and he hated it. But even as I felt a small surge of satisfaction, I knew the fight wasn't over. Knowing was one thing. Proving it, exposing it, making him feel the consequences. That was the real battle. And I was just getting started. Because the deeper I dug, the more I realized Mark's betrayal wasn't limited to just this one woman. There were layers, secrets he had hidden even from me, and uncovering them would change everything I thought I knew about my life, my marriage, and myself. I could feel it, like a storm building on the horizon. And I knew, without a doubt, that when it hit, nothing would ever be the same again. Cliffhanger. That night, I discovered a secret so shocking, so twisted, that I realized Mark wasn't just cheating. He was hiding a side of himself I had never even imagined, and it could ruin everything. The next morning, I woke with a strange mix of dread and determination. I couldn't shake the feeling that what I had uncovered so far was only the tip of the iceberg. Mark had always been a private man, the kind who kept things locked away, even from me. But now, armed with proof of his affair, I felt a dangerous curiosity stirring. I needed to know everything. I waited until he left for work, then sat down with his laptop again. This time, I didn't just scroll through emails and messages. I dug deeper: files, hidden folders, anything that could reveal the full truth. At first, I found receipts from expensive gifts, secret hotel bookings, even a little notebook he kept of dates with her. But then something caught my eye, a folder labeled emergency backup with a password. I didn't hesitate. I had cracked enough of his passwords before. This one was just another challenge. Inside, my heart sank. It wasn't just the affair. It was months of deception layered on top of more deception. Mark had been hiding more than just a fling. There were secret bank transfers, photos of luxury gifts I'd never seen, and emails to a lawyer. Emails to a lawyer. I clicked on one, hands trembling. Make sure everything is in order before she finds out. She trusts him too much. Don't let her know about the account yet. My hands froze. What did this mean? A separate account? Money he had been hiding from me? For what purpose? My mind raced as I read more. The house, the car, and the savings, all hidden under the joint account. She has no idea. By the time she suspects, it will be too late. I felt a surge of fury. He hadn't just cheated on me emotionally or physically. He had been planning, quietly and meticulously, to take from me, to steal from our life together while pretending to be the loving husband. I slammed the laptop shut, my hands shaking. I felt betrayed in ways I hadn't even imagined. The anger that had simmered quietly now boiled into a storm. This wasn't just about infidelity. This was about control, about manipulation, about someone I loved using me as a pawn while living a lie. When Mark returned that evening, I acted normal, smiling, sweet. The mask of the devoted wife. I poured him a glass of wine, like nothing had changed. You seem tense, he said, sitting down. Everything okay? I smiled. Just tired from work. You know how it is. He nodded, sipping his drink, oblivious that I had found the truth that would leave him broken. But then, a thought struck me. If I went public with this now, if I showed him I knew everything, would it be enough? No. I wanted more than just a confession. I wanted to make sure he felt the consequences of every lie, every betrayal, every ounce of pain he caused me. That's when I started planning my next move. The following days were a careful dance. I watched him, listened, and collected even more evidence. I noticed little things I hadn't before. Calls he tried to hide, sudden cancellations of plans he had told me about weeks in advance, even her perfume, faintly lingering in the car. I could see it now. He was getting careless because he believed I was naive, that I was blind. And I let him believe it. But I wasn't blind. Not anymore. Then, one night, the final piece of the puzzle appeared. I had been scrolling through his phone, carefully, and found a message that made my blood run cold. She's getting suspicious. Don't worry, I have a plan. Everything will go according to schedule. A plan? Schedule? What was he planning? I felt a chill run down my spine. He wasn't just cheating. He was plotting something bigger. Something I couldn't ignore. My heart pounded as I realized how much danger our marriage, and perhaps even my life, was in. I confronted him immediately. Not with the evidence yet, but with questions. Mark, what plan? What schedule? What are you talking about? He laughed nervously, trying to brush it off. Emily, you're imagining things again. Stop looking into my business. You're making yourself paranoid. I stepped closer, voice trembling but firm. I'm not imagining anything. I know about her. I know about the money. I know about the accounts. And now I know there's a plan you've been hiding from me. Tell me what it is right now. For the first time, I saw him hesitate. Real hesitation. He swallowed hard. Emily, it's complicated. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. Complicated? Mark, you've lied to me every day for months. You've planned behind my back. You've used me. So yes, I think it's very complicated. Now tell me, before it's too late for both of us. He looked at me, and I swear I saw fear in his eyes. Fear that I would expose him. Fear that I finally had the upper hand. I can't explain right now, he whispered. You wouldn't understand. I shook my head, furious. I understand perfectly, Mark. I understand betrayal. I understand lies. And now, I understand revenge. He took a step back, finally sensing that I wasn't the woman he could manipulate anymore. Emily, please. Let's just talk later. Can we talk later? I shook my head again. No. You've lied for too long. Tonight, I'm going to make sure you face everything. Every truth, every lie. And you are going to feel it all. As I watched him stumble back, stunned, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. I was no longer afraid. I had the power now, the knowledge, and I was about to use it. But just when I thought I had everything under control, my phone buzzed. A single message that made my blood run cold. Emily knows. I froze, because I didn't know if it was meant for me, or if it was a warning that someone else had discovered what I had been uncovering. And in that moment, I realized the betrayal might run deeper than even I had imagined. Cliffhanger. The message wasn't from Mark, and whoever sent it knew more than I did. The walls of lies I thought I was tearing down were hiding something even darker, something that could destroy me completely if I wasn't careful. The message haunted me all night. Emily knows. My mind raced. Who could it be? A friend of Mark's? Someone connected to his affair? Or, worse, was it from her? I stayed awake, staring at my phone, replaying every detail I'd uncovered. I couldn't ignore it. Whoever sent that message knew the truth, or at least part of it. And that meant Mark wasn't the only one living a lie. By morning, I had made a decision. I had to confront him again. But this time, I wouldn't just rely on evidence. I needed strategy. I needed control. And most importantly, I needed him to feel the fear he had made me feel for months. When Mark walked in that evening, I greeted him with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. You've been busy, I said casually. He nodded, looking tired. Yeah, meeting's a long week. I held up my phone, showing him the message. Do you know this? He froze. His face went pale. He tried to snatch the phone from my hand, but I pulled it back. I don't know what that is, he said, his voice slightly shaking. You don't know? I repeated, slowly, savoring the tension. Because it says, Emily knows, and I do know. I know everything, Mark. Every lie, every secret, every betrayal. And now, someone else knows too. He swallowed hard. I could see it, panic flickering in his eyes, the kind of fear only a man who has been cornered could feel. Emily, you're overreacting. It's nothing. Just ignore it. I shook my head. No, I'm not ignoring it. You've made this marriage a web of lies, and now, it's time to untangle it. Every secret you've kept is about to be exposed. Every betrayal. Every moment you thought you were clever, it's going to come to light. Mark's breathing grew faster. He finally admitted it. Emily, you don't understand. There's more to this than you know. You can't just stop, I said sharply. I understand more than you think. And if you think I'll let you manipulate me anymore, you're wrong. Dead wrong. I watched him crumble under the weight of his own deception. For the first time, the man who had always been in control, the man who had made me question my sanity, my instincts, my every thought, was powerless. But as I prepared to strike, to reveal all that I had discovered, my phone buzzed again. Another message. Meet me tonight, alone, or everything falls apart. My heart pounded. The sender wasn't Mark, and now it was clear they weren't bluffing. Whoever this was had power, real power. And if I wanted to take down Mark completely, I had to play their game. I spent the day preparing, making sure I knew exactly what I would say and do. I couldn't afford mistakes. The stakes were too high. Mark's betrayal was only one part of the storm. This new player could tip everything into chaos. By nightfall, I drove to the location the message had given me, an empty parking lot behind a closed office building. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. My pulse raced, but my mind was sharp. A figure stepped out of the shadows. A woman. I froze. Her eyes were familiar. Too familiar. You, I whispered. She smiled, cold and knowing. Hello, Emily. We need to talk. I narrowed my eyes. How do you know about him? About us. She shrugged nonchalantly. Mark isn't exactly subtle, and I have my ways of finding out things. You're clever, but not clever enough. I felt a surge of anger. What do you want from me? She stepped closer, voice low. I want the truth about everything, and I want you to know. You're in deeper than you realize. Mark isn't just cheating. He's been planning, lying, and manipulating for a long time. And if you want to stop him, you'll need to follow my lead. My mind reeled. Follow her lead? Who was she? A rival lover? A spy? Someone seeking revenge of their own? But before I could speak, she handed me an envelope. Everything you need is in here, she said. Evidence, timelines, bank statements, everything. But there's a warning. If you expose him too soon, he'll know it was you. You'll lose him, everything. And he's dangerous. Trust me. You need a plan. I took the envelope, trembling. I didn't know if I should feel relief or fear. Relief that finally, someone was helping me uncover the full truth. And fear because the depth of Mark's deception was far worse than I imagined. As I drove home, my mind raced. With this new information, I could destroy him, not just confront him, not just make him feel guilty. I could ruin him. But the woman's warning echoed in my head. He's dangerous. When I got home, Mark was waiting, casually sitting in the living room. He didn't see the envelope, didn't see my expression. I poured him a drink, pretending to be oblivious. You've been quiet, he said, trying to mask his own anxiety. I smiled softly. Just thinking about us. He leaned back, relaxed. Good. You should. You need to relax. Stop overthinking everything. I wanted to laugh. Overthinking? If only he knew how much I had uncovered. How much I knew. How close I was to destroying the life he had tried to build on lies. I set my glass down. Mark, we need to talk. Really talk. He looked up, wary. About what? I opened the envelope. Slowly, deliberately, letting the papers spill across the table. Receipts, messages, photos. Timelines of meetings he had kept secret. Bank transfers, hotel bookings, phone records. Every lie, every betrayal, documented and undeniable. He froze. His confident mask crumbled. Emily, where did you get this? I leaned in, voice low but unwavering. Does it matter? You can't deny it. Every secret you've tried to hide. It's all here. And now, you're going to pay for every single one of them. His face drained of color. He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. For the first time, the man who had manipulated, lied, and betrayed for months was powerless. And in that moment, I realized something. The real game had just begun. Because the deeper I dug, the more I realized Mark wasn't just a cheater. He was a planner, a manipulator, a man who thought he could control everyone. And now, it was my turn. I had the evidence. I had the power. And I had a storm coming, one that would leave him broken. But as I looked at Mark sitting there, defeated and terrified, my phone buzzed again. Another message. This one wasn't a warning. It was a threat, and whoever sent it knew everything I was planning to do. My phone buzzed in my hand like a live wire. Mark didn't notice at first. He was too busy staring at the evidence spread across the table. Bank statements, hotel bookings, screenshots of messages he had sworn didn't exist. His entire double life lay exposed between us like a corpse. I glanced at the screen. If you go public, you'll regret it. No name. No number. Just a threat. I slowly looked up at Mark. His face was pale, his lips trembling. For the first time in our marriage, he looked small, weak, afraid. Is this another one of your tricks? I asked quietly. He shook his head too fast. No. I swear. Emily, I don't know who that is. I laughed. A hollow, bitter sound. You don't know? Funny. You didn't know about the lipstick, or the hotels, or the secret accounts either, right? He stood up suddenly. You don't understand what you're messing with. That sentence changed everything. I felt it deep in my chest, the final piece clicking into place. So it is real, I said calmly. You are afraid. Mark ran a hand through his hair, pacing like a trapped animal. Emily, listen to me. Please. If you expose this, it won't end the way you think. I folded my arms. You mean I won't end up crazy again? Or manipulated? Or silent while you destroy me? His voice cracked. You don't know how deep this goes. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Then tell me, right now. No more lies. He sank back onto the couch. And finally, Mark broke. He confessed everything. The affair wasn't just about desire. It was about escape, about control, about greed. He had been planning to drain our joint savings slowly, move assets into hidden accounts. And once everything was secure, he planned to leave me, painting me as unstable so I couldn't fight back. You were supposed to doubt yourself, he whispered, like you always did. That sentence hurt more than the cheating. You knew, I said slowly. You knew exactly how to break me. Tears streamed down his face. I didn't think you'd ever find out. I smiled. That was your biggest mistake. The next morning, I made my move. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't warn him. I went straight to a lawyer with copies of everything. The emails, the bank transfers, the timeline, the proof that he had planned financial betrayal long before the affair ever became physical. Then I contacted his company. Quietly, professionally. They didn't like what they found. Secret transactions, misuse of company funds, hotel stays labeled as client meetings. By the end of the week, Mark was suspended. By the end of the month, he was fired. And then I went public, not on social media, not with drama, but with precision. Divorce papers, asset freezes, legal notices. Every plan he had made to leave me with nothing was turned against him. Every lie he had carefully crafted unraveled under real scrutiny. Not my crazy doubts, but documented facts. The threatening messages stopped. Whoever had been watching realized something important. I wasn't afraid anymore. The final confrontation happened on a rainy afternoon. Mark stood in front of me, holding the divorce papers with shaking hands. You ruined me, he whispered. I looked at him calmly. No, Mark, you ruined yourself. I just stopped protecting your lies. He dropped to the couch, broken. The confident man who once laughed at my suspicions couldn't even meet my eyes. You could have forgiven me, he said weakly. I shook my head. You didn't just cheat. You planned to destroy me and call me crazy while doing it. I leaned closer. That's unforgivable. As I walked out of that house for the last time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because I won, but because I finally trusted myself. Today, when I look back, I don't feel anger anymore. I feel clarity. I learned that intuition is not madness. Doubt is not weakness. And silence is not loyalty. The man who called me crazy now lives with nothing but the consequences of his own actions. And me? I rebuilt my life on truth. Stronger, smarter, and finally, free. He called me crazy for doubting him. But the proof didn't just expose his lies. It destroyed the man who thought I'd never find the truth.